What's up YouTube, Barcode here. Today I'm bringing you another Dungeon Hunted Champions video. This video is just going to be mainly a little showcase of my Nat 5, 4, and 3 complete tier list that I posted on Reddit and also on Facebook and also on my YouTube channel. But I just want to explain some of the changes, and I'm going to go over all of the S graded champs first and then some honorable mentions of each natural star tier list. Okay, first we're going to just start out with the S grades. Okay, and this is just for Nat 3s, and for those who don't know, Nats mean it's short for natural 3 stars, so Nat 4, Nat 5. Just a side note, I did post a long post on Reddit about co-op coming out today, bugs, etc. I'm not going to go into that right now. I will do that at another video. Okay. So first mention S grade. Okay. For Nat 3s, Dark Magical Girl. All the magical girls are very strong. I rated the other 2 A's as well. They all do a great thing, but S ranked, she is just great to have. Lethal damage that an ally takes prevents death and sets the HP to a portion of their max HP. I don't know what the portion is right now because I don't have her to test, and in arena when I'm facing it, it's moving too fast. I'm not really paying attention. So but a great passive to have. She also has raised defense, and the heal is based off of her max HP, not your allies. This healing circle the range should be a little bit bigger, and I think Bameloft should change that to make it a little bit bigger radius, because that could be definitely stronger than what it is. The heal is lackluster. It's mainly for her damage reduction ultimate and then her passive, which is great. So her ultimate is all protective magic absorbing incoming attacks. It just reduces all damage dealt by the enemy. So it's just great initial stop of the burst of the enemy team. Still at a S rank is the Water Timekeeper. Still great to have. Still awesome to build. For a Nat 3, he's got everything. He's got heal. He's got ongoing damage. He's got lower cooldown as a team synergy, and on his passive every 6 seconds, which goes down to 5 seconds when max skilled. Blocks buffs, does mortal wounds, just a ton of utility to have, and he is great still, and still ranked in S tier. A change on my list for another S ranked champion is Sigrun, so Light Valkyrie. Everybody knows Light Valkyrie. It's one of the first free characters that Gameloft gives you. My stupidity was feeding her a long time ago. Yeah, I did that. I did. However, after testing all the vaults and then seeing Light Valkyrie and everybody else testing her, Light Valkyrie is definitely the best out of all 5. I gave her an S rank. However, all Valkyries are ranked A. For sure. They're all good, all amazing, all good. They all have different roles, different utilities. Okay, but I ranked Sigrun an S because, for one, she's light. It's a neutral element. She has a lower defense break. Everything's based off of attack speed, and she has a lower attack AoE, which does a ton of damage. A great farmer to start out with if you don't get like a Blade Master or something like that. There is, I've had discussions with a lot of people about other Valks, such as Rhoda, being S tier or better than Sigrun, but just someone who has 4 nukes, all based off of attack speed and all of the utility combined, is amazing. Rhoda could be ranked in S, and she is great to have, and she does a ton of damage, but Sigrun will top that damage no matter what. Mind you, it's all about team comp. Whatever your team comp is, you're always going to bring people together in a team that helps each other out and makes the other maximized. Now, Rhoda with Sigrun is just even better. But in order for that to work, they need to be matched up. And by themselves, Sigrun, by my opinion, is just better. Another change I had and actually upgraded to an S tier is Light Gollum. Now, Light Gollum was actually the second champion that I ever 6-starred and was ranked, I think, an A on my previous tier list for Nat 3s, but he is your greater demon. He's your cheap greater demon. Okay, he's a stripper. He has it's all max HP. He has a stun. He has an AoE disorient. Everything, like I said, is based off match HP. And since he's a stripper, you put him on dazzling, and he can just stun the living heck out of you and out of your enemy team anyway. Just a great champion to build if you get one. Now for a new champion, Fire Dragon Guard Monument. I just 6-starred mine, and after testing him at 5 stars, he was still holding his own. He's definitely an S tier for sure for a Nat 3, and could be even a Nat 4, comparable to a Nat 4. I mean, he's great. He has everything that you need. He's got this passive, which is not only just one ally every 45 seconds, it's every ally for 45 seconds. So if one gets low, he gets the your ally gets the undying buff. If another ally goes low, he also gets the undying buff, and then so on. So this isn't just like a one-time one ally 45 seconds. It's every ally 45 seconds. So amazing passive. So that makes everyone need to focus on Monument, okay, before anyone else, or they could take the possibility of their allies getting healed up or whatever the case may be. So he is now like a target in arena that someone needs to kill first for the most part. He also has lower attack. He has raised defense of all allies. Now the thing about this, which makes him definitely an S tier, is even not on Adept, it's 100% uptime of a raised defense to your whole team. That's OP. That's like Nat 5 material. I mean, he's just amazing. He also has an AoE stun when he jumps down. Everything's based off of defense. You build him straight defense, and he will be a king. Then, there's Xenia. So Xenia, everybody knows Xenia. She is definitely one of your first person champions that you want to farm up to get. Lower defense on an auto attack, strip, a heal, lowers cooldowns, and also a stun. Very high utility. She is your Bella from that game. So she's definitely an S tier still, and probably always will be. I'm going to just go over some quick Nat 3 honorable mentions. Pretty much, they're pretty much ranked A. I'm not going to really go over the B's. B's are still good to build in my tier list. S, A, B are all good to build. C's are like situational. So just some honorable mentions. Water Ranger has immunity, block buff, and he's a nuker, so another person great to build. Water Basilisk, also immunity, defense based monster, has a stun, has an armor break. So I always talk about those two together because a lot of people like one or the other. It really depends, like I said, on your team comp. Team comp is everything. If you need an armor break and immunity, you bring Water Basilisk. If you need more damage and immunity, you bring Water Ranger, and that's if you have an armor break somewhere else on your team comp. Another honorable mention would be Nature Candy Munchkin. So Nature Candy Munchkin, all of her attacks mainly are built off of max HP. She also has her self-raised crit, which is great. So great against raid bosses. A great honorable mention, which could be an S tier, but I didn't. I marked it or A. Is the Water Hag. So Water Hag is amazing, and so she is a ranged stripper. When you when you range strip, with her you apply ongoing damage as well, and it's it's just great to have. She breaks shields. This is after the whole update for the water hag. She breaks shields, applies mortal wounds, so she has strip, heal block, stripping shields, and then she has a self-attack buff. You know, in my opinion, she could be rated an S. However, I thought about this long and hard, but I just couldn't do it. I had to rate her an A, which is still amazing, still great to build, and definitely you should if you lack someone who strips buffs from the enemies. Another honorable mention would be the Dark Dragon Guard. So, just like the Fire Dark Dragon Guard, Dark Dragon Guard got a buff as well. A little bit harder to get, obviously, because it's a dark champion. However, if I can ever find it, wherever. Anyway, so Dark Basileus, Ovilus. Okay. The only reason I have him ranked at an A and not an S, because he has the same passive as Fire, and he does have lower attack speed, and a stun. He doesn't have the self-defense buff. So putting Fire over the Dark one was the answer to me, because Fire is more self-sustaining. You can bring other characters to come into, to benefit more with Fire than you would with Dark, because with Dark you need someone who defense buffs as a team comp. So it's just more utility and sustain with Fire, and that's why I chose Fire to be S and Dark to be A, but still great champion to build if you get one. Other honorable mentions for A for Nat 3 is Dark and Light Dryads, Violet and Lily. The only difference between the two is Violet has mortal wounds and Lily has slow for enemies that enter the wall. Put them on Dazzling, and literally Violet can stun you for about 8 seconds straight in her stinging brambles, which is super annoying. And that's a whole nother topic for another video. But it's just great to have on Dazzling on either one of them. They remove buffs. It's just, they're great Nat 3s to build. Definitely almost S tier, but A tier. Like I said, with when I was talking about Light Valkyrie, all the Valkyries are good, and they're all ranked A besides Light, which is a S. Definitely worth to build all of them. It just depends on the progression and where you are. I would start with Light, go with Nature next, either go Fire or Water depending on where you are, or even Dark. Those three, it just really depends on what type of team you're looking for. If you don't build Rhoda first and you build Dark Valk first, then you don't really need to focus on Rhoda yet. You could focus on Fire Valk because she's good, or if you lack healing, you could go with Water Valk. Water Valk actually surprisingly puts out a ton of healing and also attack speed buff and movement speed, which is good in Elder Drake if you can't do pre-flight. So definitely all great champions to build. Another A tier would be Dark Derby Girl. So Dark Derby Girl, if you like to 5 vs 5, I would definitely build her, especially if you know how to jungle properly. She is my go-to jungler. She's just a stun locking queen, and she does a ton of damage in 5 vs 5, so definitely look into that if you're a 5 vs 5 player. Another A ranked is Light Shark. So Light Shark is one of the only champions that has a legendary mortal wounds. I've been testing this fairly often lately, and I do plan on 6-starring soon, probably in the next 2 or 3. But against all arena teams, Light Shark is amazing. I haven't decided the kind of build I want to build yet. Right now it's just attack, crit damage, attack, just like another nuke. And putting that with someone with a monument, and then a nature pirate and whatever, some sustain or whatever, is huge, because they're not healing out of that no matter what, unless they have the gear that removes legendary debuffs, but not a lot of people have that yet. Okay, let's get to the S skills. So the S skills, we're gonna go with Light Basileus first for my first S grade. Light Basileus as a Nat 4 is just great to have. I mean, defense-based monster, immunity, armor break, stuns, neutral element, awesome to have. If you get the pull one, definitely build for sure. Candy Munchkin, light, lemon drop, max HP, raises her own crit, pretty much like a nature Munchkin, but it's a nat 4, better stats, can take her anywhere and do a ton of damage. Another S grade would be Dark Snake Lady. So Dark Snake Lady has ongoing damage, you know, the Snake Ladies, and it's not attack speed, guys. It's adept, okay, and it's just, you can make her as tanky as possible and she'll do a ton of damage. Max skill is just amazing. So ongoing damage on every skill that she uses, so she needs high accuracy, but also her ultimate does 3 stacks of ongoing damage herself. The only Snake Lady that does that. So she can put up to 6 to 8 stacks just herself on adept gear, and it's amazing character. Probably what I'm most known for is Sharma. I have 2 of them. Definitely S tier, has everything you can need in a timekeeper plus more. CDR time synergy, 5 seconds when max skilled, lowers everyone's cooldown by 1 second. A strip that removes 2 buffs from the enemy and heals on the way back, and removes debuffs on the way back. So it's just awesome champion. Ongoing damage, blocks buffs, mortal wounds, awesome champion to have. Let's get into one of the new champions that we got, into Water Magical Girl. So Yuku, she was like a top 30 arena reward when they first came out. Amazing character, just like Dark Magical Girl, but she, you know, the same lethal stuff. She has a lower defense, block buffs, removes all debuffs on her heal, which is huge. Anyone that has a cleanse as a healer and all the utility is just amazing. Plus she has the ultimate that reduces damage to everyone. Just a great S tier character. If you do get one, definitely build it. Kendrick, so I actually I'll go with Kendrick and Harlow. I rated them both an S. They're your Galleon from that other game, but amazing characters to have. Dark even better, just because of the neutral element. Ongoing damage if you get a critical hit, so build with high crit. If you want to build him as a nuke or a tank, just make sure to build them with high crit for PvE wise. PvP, it's not too much of a necessity to get the ongoing damage, but definitely high accuracy to get the Mark of the Pirate off, which is lower defense and raise attack, lower defense of the enemies, raise attack of your team. So it's a great nuking wombo combo. And then the ultimate for Dark is dropping the anchor. They can't run away from it, so definitely the better of the 2, but I still rated them both an S. Ignores defense on critical damage, so even better if you build him as a nuke. It's just amazing. But drop anchor is a great skill to have. For Kendrick, he has bombardment. It doesn't do the anchor, so enemies don't get stuck in the area. But I actually have my nature pirate on dazzling, and it works really well, because he'll throw out his armor break and, you know, attack up, and then he'll do bombardment and stun the enemy team if I have a stripper, if they have immunity or whatever the case may be. But, you know, Dark Pirate would work just the same as well, and having anchor and putting on dazzling, I would definitely do that. Some other honorable mentions: Fire and Water, both Munchkins. Oh, did I say honorable Munchkins? Anyway, these are some honorable Munchkins we have here. Fire and Water. Fire is more like nature and light. It does damage on max HP. Water is a little bit different. It does on Candy Cannon, the auto attack, but on her ultimate actually lowers defense. So if you're lacking a defense, but you're, you know, a defense break and you need a nuker, she would be good to use. So I definitely rank them both an A. Both situationally good. Forest Fairy, I've seen her used in 5 vs 5 a ton, and in PvP she can do a ton of damage. I've seen her used in PvE as well. Great nuker, has a lot of mobility, especially in 5 vs 5. Definitely, if you're a 5 vs 5 player, definitely try her out if you get her. Both light and dark Nagas, well, really all Nagas, I rated light and dark A's just because I think they're the better of all the elements. But fire, water, and nature are all great to build, especially for your ED and SW teams. So they're just all honorably mentioned, but light and dark for sure if you get the pool one. Dark Sion is definitely one to be honorably mentioned. I even almost had him as an S tier, but I don't have him to test, so I can't say for 100%. But from what I hear, he is an amazing champion to the ones that do have him. He has ongoing damage, he has lower defense, and he has mark. He does a ton of damage if you build him as a nuke, but plus with ongoing damage, so if you get to pull him, definitely build. If you get a water snake lady, definitely build her just to get to that that's Steel Widow and ED 10 threshold. That is now a threshold. It's not the late game or mid game or whatever you want to call it. It's a threshold now, and you know, Elder Drake being water in 10, and then Steel Widow being fire in 10. She's actually great to have. Ongoing damage with Adept. We talked about Dark, but definitely honorable mention to build her. All the other snake ladies are good situationally, but I think water is by far an honorable mention, just as light is as well. Just because you can take them to that mid-game threshold of Steel Widow 10. If you call that, I still call 10 early game because of a long story, and I'm not going to go through with it. Another 5 vs 5 character that's honorably mentioned as an A tier is Light Timekeeper. Light Timekeeper has a sustain for 5 vs 5 anyway, for sustain with the heal, and lowers attack speed of the enemies. Raises attack speed of it's a whole team buff, and 5 vs 5 in team fights is just great to have. Lowers cooldowns, has a slow stun, just amazing champion for 5 vs 5. With the addition of the new champion bomber that's coming out, I want to talk about Light Pirate 2. I ranked him A as well. I wouldn't mind to pull him and test him myself, but a passive that increases crit damage of nearby allies by 10%. It's not a lot, but it's actually something. It's extra. It's just there for your team to deal more damage. And the thing I want to talk about is adding a bomber, and then also having Beaumont on your team too, is just, it's like you bring shields or you're not bring shields. It doesn't matter. You're still going to get wrecked. So I think that'd be a good combo to have with Light Pirate and then a bomber. But only time will tell. So definitely ranked an A just of all of his nice stuff he has. And before I go on to the S tiers for the Nat 5s, there is a lot of Nat 4s here that are ranked B that could have been an A to me. It just, doing every single champion in a Nat tier list is way harder than I'm sure I ever thought it would be, and you know, it's just a lot of work. So, and I wanted to be fair, and I wanted to make sure I got it right in my opinion, and then to others as well, because I take criticism fine. You know, I like criticism, and if I feel the need to change something, then I will. So but yeah, I mean, there's a lot of other Nat 4s that could have been mentioned, but these are the ones that I want to give out if you get to pull them, to definitely build first. Alright, now let's get to the Nat 5s. And also, regarding Nat 5s, they're all Nat 5s. I mean, they typically should be a priority to build at all times, unless it's a Nat 4 or a Nat 3 S tier, in my opinion. But if it's an S tier of a Nat 5, then you definitely just need to build it first. But there is other champions that are even lower star that is more priority to build over others. But eventually, every Nat 5 you get, you should definitely 6-star and max skill, because that's where their full potential becomes. I know Nat 5s are very important to you, especially when you pull them. It could be your only one or your only two or three or whatever the case may be, and there could be some bias, and I get that. But coming from my standpoint, I have to think rationally and throughout the whole game and all content to determine what my grade is for them. So let's get started with the S tier Nat 5s. Okay, so for Archangels, I definitely have light and dark, and it's not because it's a neutral element. It's actually more than that. So except, it's Valor has lower attack, has a shield, removes all debuffs, silences the enemy. Now it's very comparable to fire, and it's very comparable to nature. Fire has damage reflection. Yeah, that's great. It's not much damage. I'd rather have a lower attack on the enemy. It's much less damage that way than it is damage reflection. Nature doesn't even have anything on the second skill, so it's just just way better than those two comparing. Okay, so definitely worth the build. You can fuse light Archangel now, so definitely should do that if you don't have fire or nature, especially if you don't have fire, then definitely build light. I haven't built light yet because I have fire, but eventually I will be building light just because it has the lower attack and is slightly better than fire. Now with dark is comparable to water Archangel, which I have water Archangel, but dark is a little bit better than water, just because it has self-immunity, has blind, damage reflection. Okay, now water has nothing on the second, and just has a silence and invulnerability as well, but so dark is just ranked a little bit higher. I do have water as an A because obviously everybody knows water, and the other two B's, but water is highly wanted as a pool, but dark and light still beat that over it, even with being neutral elements. Blade Masters, now I have nature. I ranked her an A. She's not an S tier, but still amazing. It's one of my best geared, most skilled out Nat 5s. However, the best Blade Masters would be fire, light, and dark. Okay, I ranked water an A, still great. But I ranked these three a little bit higher just because of their skills. Fire has mark, which is huge as a farmer. Light Blade Master, she actually is comparable to water, but because she is light, I ranked her an A. I used the neutral element in that factor for light because you can take her anywhere in arena, or anywhere in dungeons and still profit from that. Dark is definitely, in my opinion, probably maybe the best. Fire probably, but dark, just being dark, is just great to have. Mortal Wounds, dark is more like the nature Blade Master, but 1,000 blades, max HP. Fire doesn't have that. Water doesn't have that either. So it's just, that's why I ranked the S rank for dark and light and fire. Now the new Divas, I haven't done videos for Divas yet. I haven't even fused my Diva yet. I'm just kind of hoping for the right Nat 4 summon so I don't have to fuse the Nat 4s. So I'm being patient with it. I'm still doing okay without her, but I would love to have her. For right now, I have Diva rated an A. She could be very close to an S tier just because of the stun. She's the best heals per second healer in the game. Utility wise, overall she's okay. She has a stun, she has Starstruck, so great to have. However, I just didn't want to rate her an S yet. I do have Light and Dark again if you get to pull them S ranked, just because of their skill sets. Light has a strip, removes one debuff, has Starstruck. Dark is like more of a nuker, but ignores defense, all based on attack speed. It's just, attack speed has huge damage modifiers, and the faster you do damage, the better. So just great to have if you get to pull one. I have Nature and Fire both ranked as Bs. I can't personally test them, but from what I hear from others, I get a lot of feedback from players who have these champions, and I ask questions. But yeah, definitely Light and Dark for sure, and then Water Diva for sure. Greater Demons, I mean, you could rank all of them A's, you could rank all of them S's. I mean, you could rank a lot of these Nat5s S's. But I pretty much ranked all of them except for Forest an A. I ranked Forest a B. The only reason being is because he doesn't steal the enemy's buffs like the other ones do, like Fire. It's kind of lackluster, especially if you want that stripper. But they're all A ranked. They all have tons of utility. They have a ton of damage. A rank is still good. Definitely should be built for sure. I just didn't rank them S's. Monkey Kings, do we have to talk about Monkey Kings really? I mean, they can do great damage. They're all first turn, burn all your cooldowns, kill the enemy. After that, they're not doing much. They're fighters, so you kind of want to build them more like a bruiser who does a lot of damage but is also tanky. But on crit damage builds, I had a friend who had the Dark Monkey and had 230% crit damage and just a ton of attack, and just was lackluster. I mean, just couldn't do much. It really, I don't know if they need a rework or what the case may be. Lower cooldowns maybe, I don't know. But you don't see any of them in top tier. More S ranks, so Water, Forest, and also Light, all definitely S ranked Nat 5s of the Siege Towers. And the reason being is these three have the ongoing damage on the ultimates, whereas Dark and Fire do not. So if you have all three of these, or three just waters, I would build them all to at least 5-star, make them tanky as heck, and then just watch the stacks go. If you bring three of these and then a stripper and then a wave clearer, your Steel Widow 10 or Elder Drake 10 or whatever you're farming is going to be super quick. So they're just great to have. 5 stocks of ongoing damage. Amazing damage for a Nat 5. And to go over some just honorable mentions real quick for Nat 5s, Water Archangel, obviously we already said. The Water Blade Master and Forest, all the Greater Demons. The only Monkey King that I would actually rank an A, that I have A, is Light. Lower defense, raises self-attack, and ignores shields. So again, I don't know where they're going with this, light versions of all the characters, but Bomber, Pirate, Monkey King, all ignoring shields, could be useful in the future. Water and Forest Ink Ninjas. Now, none of the Ink Ninjas got an S tier for me. I don't like their ultimate. It's too delayed. It takes way too long. If that ultimate was quicker, I probably would rank 2 or 3 of them in S tier. But the ultimate just takes too long. Anyone in 5 vs 5 can, if they're fast enough, can dodge out of it. And really in arena, if I take an Ink Ninja, and you're facing, for example, Violet, she doesn't remove off the first tick, so you can still Kendrick or Harlow pirate them down first turn, but with Ink Ninja, the armor break already comes off, so it's if Violet removes it. So that's why I didn't rank any of them an S, because their ultimate needs a rework. I did rank Dark Siege Tower a rank, as honorable mention. Just a great frontline tank, provokes blinds, has a shield, auto repair, heal if the shield buff, damage reflection, blocks buffs, slows, stuns, very high utility, frontline. Definitely an honorable mention. That's all the time I have today. Thanks for tuning in. This is just a quick explanation. Well, quick. I wouldn't call it quick. Just an explanation of my tier list and updated tier list with new champions, the champions that got buffed, the new skills. So just comment, criticize, whatever you want to do in my video, and we can talk about it. And I'll see you in the next video. Peace.